Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Loreweek. Now, uh, first thing I'm going to say, very first thing, because I always like to put the show news. No, ignore it. I would veto it immediately. First thing I would say is I'm still on the tail end of being severely violently ill, and so if I sound a little bit absent, it's because I basically am. I unironically just woke up about 9 minutes prior to hitting go on the stream. My breakfast is this tiny bit of jello right here, which I have been nibbling at. I had a rather severe and particularly nasty and violent stomach bug from about the middle of the night, Friday night, until about 3 a.m. this morning is the first time I was able to keep liquids down, to give you a bit of a timeline. And it was worse than usual. Like I've had stomach bugs before. I'm sure most people have. This was just bad. I don't know how to describe it. It was very violent. I actually am sore because of the severity and strength of the vomiting. So that's why I'm a little bit well, that's one of the reasons I'm a little bit uh oh no, this is just a stomach bug, I'm pretty sure. It might be a variant on the stomach bug. I forget the name of the virus, but it has all the signs and indications of being a stomach bug. Oh yeah, my voice is probably a little bit gravelier than usual because, a lot of bile has been passing through it for the last 24 hours. Uh, Mortal Kombat 11. You got it. Thank you. Now, second thing. This is related. I meant to say this a couple weeks ago. Uh, I've got a decent idea, assuming I don't get ill anymore. I've got a decent idea of roughly how long it will take to work on the rest of the Lorecraft series. And right now I'm staring at about mid-July. The ideal would be to come back to streaming right after SGDQ. I don't know if I could make that. I will already be skipping SGDQ to work on the Lorecraft series, but you get the idea. So that's roughly our timeline for coming back to regular streaming. That's not set in stone because I'm not a major publisher who needs to rush a product to get out before a specific quarter. But I thought I'd give you an FYI, especially since I encourage all of you who support me for reasons that involve streaming and nothing else to stop supporting me for the interim, because I'm not going to be doing regular streaming until then. Sounds big. Thank you, Kai Snow. You didn't tell me what you want to put that though towards. Now, if you support me for the Star Trek stuff and the movie stuff and the Lorecraft stuff and the Streamination stuff, all that stuff's still going live. For once, for once, the YouTube part of my job is completely untouched by all this. Go figure. Anyways, that does lead into the next thing. Now, not until about July-ish, Zoctaft, like I said. And that's a very rough estimate. So I imagine a lot of you have already heard the news. Or maybe only some of you have, I don't know. I know there's already been tweets about it, and I know there's already been Discord, but part of the reason I haven't done something until now is because Loreweek is the thing that everyone sees. It's the one part of my show that the majority of my viewers actually see. And figured this is the best possible time to get us hold of as many people as possible with regards to what happened. Um, is that already on the list, Kaisna? The lab. So we've had people. You notice I don't even have music going right now. That's on purpose. We've had people. It is on the list. Okay, thank you, Kaisna. I don't even know what that is off the top of my head. And, oh, by the way, I will be uploading today's Lorecraft later. I do that manually. The episode's ready to go. I'm done with Wrath from my perspective, so that's gonna go live. We've had people bow out of the show before. I'm sure some of you remember Eingrad or Deutsch or Darkrai or the Gawas. That was a while ago. We lost Lurker a few years ago. Um, that's semi-normal. People, cycle out or have other things to do or stop caring or whatever. Um, Last year was obviously a rather unpleasant year for a lot of reasons. A little anecdote. One of my voice actors for the Final Fantasy IX theater, his name's Random, and he voices Kuja. And he went dead stick, like just completely off the grid. And I found myself realizing, because that's happened before too. Um, the so I, he I found myself realizing, based on 2020, right, based on just how nightmarish of a year that was turning out to be, I had the morbid thought that he might have died and I would have never known it. I've actually talked about this before on stream. That's a fear that humans have had ever since we've had communication with people the next town over, right? So when pen pals was a thing, or when phone calls were a thing, or whatever, you never really know if they're gone, and in some cases you may never find out. Unfortunately, I do know in this case. I've so because we never lost someone before in the Lore Walkers. We never actually lost someone that I know about. But last Monday, early in the morning, I was informed of the fact that Platy, who is, I'm sure you know who she is. She's was a rather regular member of the community, had a medical complication and died. I was going to have a donut and a pineapple Fanta here. Then I got extremely sick for about a day and a half, and I haven't been outside of my door. So I'm afraid you're going to have to pretend that part. The first time that the first time that I ever actually really remember her was during the Neverwinter Nights lore run. This would have been a couple years ago now. And she popped in, and what's really funny, with the advantage of hindsight, I have been told that I come across as a bit, uh, I suppose domineering is the word. I have a strong personality. Um, Obviously not right now because I've, everything, but, you know, point being, I'm told that I come across as a little intimidating. She told me later on in private that she had been working up the courage to say something in Twitch chat because she'd been watching for a bit, for days up to that point, because she wanted to participate in chat. And so she saw an opportunity to make a joke. She made a joke about slavery specifically. And I came down on that like a ton of bricks. Like, oh, slavery's not. Now, I did it with kind of a joking tone, like I'm doing right now, but apparently that scared her out of talking for another few days. Oops. She did eventually get the courage up to start talking again. And started. I'm trying to remember. I don't actually know when the donut thing started. It was her method of saying hello, effectively. Some people do that little wave emote. Some people do like a 0 + 2 lines. Some people just kind of do hi, but no, she would always do the donut thing, and I actually made it an official emote, which you can tell because several people are using it in chat. And that just kind of became her shtick going forwards. She yeah, it's like an indirect hello. What's funny is that's the kind of thing that you do in a real life environment too. Like you're in an office space, right? There's a big meeting, And it's a way of saying hello to the other persons who are pouring into the meeting, offer them a donut from the pile, right? And I'm not actually joking about that. There's a whole social interaction thing because, like Mr. Red says, it's an indirect way of a greeting, of a welcome. It being like, hey, a form of an icebreaker too, if you think about it. Now, hey, Oculus, do you know what you want to put that sub towards? Speaking of putting your sub towards, I suppose I should mention this now. This is her obituary. I'm going to go ahead and link it in chat. It'll also be the only link in the VOD. Um, there, if you click on that, and if you click on Tribute Fund, there's a Tribute Fund thing. That's not, that's actually for her funeral expenses. If anybody can offer or assist in donating towards helping to pay off her funeral expenses, that would be welcome because we live in the modern world where someone dying is expensive. I know it's always kind of been an issue, but I will be donating to that myself later for obvious reasons. Um, a friend of mine said something that I've quoted many, many times. Death sucks. Like, at the end of the day, whatever else you add on top of that, death sucks. And I think that's the part that's pissed me off about all of this more than anything else. Is this? It's just. Someone asked about the theater earlier. She had finished all of her lines for the Final Fantasy IX theater. In fact, she had months and months ago. So for those of you who never heard her voice, I've heard her voice plenty. But for those of you who have never heard her voice, she will be you will be able to hear her when the FF9 theater starts going live. She voices 14 separate characters. I don't remember all of them off the top of my head. I know she played Mr. 288 and Lonnie, if you happen to know who those characters are. And I mentioned being pissed off. I'm roaming a bit more than usual mentally. I apologize. Like I said, I'm just barely with it right now. She had just started voicing Alphys in the next theater, in the Undertale theater. And she was working on a novel, short story that had been blossoming out into a story. The community had just bought her a new chair. And when I say just, I mean like this is like a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, very, very recently. Because she'd been sitting in this awful chair. She sent me a picture of it. It looking at it made my back hurt. Her original chair. And so, people got together because, this community is amazing, as it always has been. And was like, here, have an actual chair. And it's funny in its own right. The last picture she sent me was actually of her in her new chair. And it looked like it was going to be helping her a lot more. And I assume that especially because she called it the perch, capital P. The last thing she said to me, she's still in my recent whispers in Discord. The last thing she said to me, I'm going to read this word for word. Her sentence structure is terrible. Forgive me. By the way, here's my glowing statement of how comfortable and or useful the perch is. Since Stace put it together for me on Friday, my general state of health has improved from about 50% to about 80%. Yeah, time and the fact that I've been babying myself along makes a difference, but the fact that I'm not in pain and I could sit there and my mind plays while my body gently rests, and the fact that I can interact more easily with my internet friends who mean the world to me, that gift was bigger than you might have realized. I am so thankful. And then she says in italics, shuts up because there are no words. And like I said, She was on an upswing, not a downswing, you know? That's what really pisses me off. We had been helping her out, and she had stuff to do, and she had people to interact with. Stace came by like every week. She'd just gotten a new pet. She was writing. Her health, some of you may know, her health actually took a bit of a nosedive. God, I want to say like 2 months ago at this point. But she was pulling up from that, right? It was not, it was like she was on an upswing. I don't want to presume details I don't know, but from what I understand, this was also a very preventable death, which doesn't make me angry. It makes me livid. But I don't know if that's 100% true, and even if it is, it doesn't change the fact that, once again, death sucks. I am going to dedicate the Final Fantasy IX Theater to her. I already have, actually. I've already made the edits, so to speak. There is now a permanent Platy emote on Discord. The donut's staying on Twitch. I have no idea what else to say, to be completely honest. She was a good person and she deserved better. Something preventable, Crazy Norse. Something preventable. I suppose you could say that about most death. This is a medical issue that was a long-standing, you got it, Wraith, a long-standing and well-known issue that a friend of mine, another friend of mine, actually also suffered from. I don't remember the term right now. Stace gave me info on this. She had a form of diabetes, and it was the manageable kind, right? You get your regular shots, and you watch your intake, and you watch your insulin value, and you're fine, right? You're good. You could probably understand the lividity just from that. Yeah, no, there was one of the things I was planning on saying today was, I mean, we all know she was sick, so we all saw this. No, we really didn't see this coming. This. Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. Both Crazy Norse and Larian. Yeah, so I'm getting you were not the first person to say this, Huthor. Apparently, apparently people who are not in the United States cannot donate to the fund. If you want to donate to me, I can redirect. No problem. I'm planning to donate anyway, so technically several of your donations are going to that. I'm just taking some notes down here. Thank you, Huthor. And Oculus, right. Diablo 3. So yeah, several people asked. I actually looked this up, and of course I forgot to hit save when I did. So give me one moment. I will look up. So I knew she was supporting that. I'll get back to that one. She was supporting a lot of games. Okay, so The big one is a game called Empire of Sin. Some of you may have heard of that game. In fact, it just got a DLC announced like 2 days ago at Paradox Con. Empire of Sin is a XCOM style game. Named after Dream Whisper. Yep. Let me jot that one down too. Whoops, wrong document. Hang on. Wrong document. Give me a moment. Yes, Dakota. They come up going, hey, they're Italians. Dumb joke, sorry. So anyways, Empire of Sin, it's an XCOM style game. You manage one of the speakeasies or one of the mobsters during the I'm sorry, my brain is only half here. The time when alcohol was forbidden here in the States. There's a term for it. I can't think of it right now. And you're trying to expand your territory, take over the other gangs. There's little missions you can do. There's kind of the Prohibition era. Thank you. There's some RPG elements to it, but the main core gameplay is that kind of grid, the XCOM style grid-based, turn-based tactical combat, which looks really fun. Put simply, it looks legit. And I've been really looking forward to it. And Oculus has been really looking forward to it. As I said earlier, I'm physically incapable of bowing without feeling very nauseous. Please forgive me, but thank you very much for the part of that is towards me, but especially thank you for the part of that is towards her. Sorry, I didn't get the chance to ask Uthor because I'm falling behind. You got it. CK32. Or 3, excuse me. Damn it. Usually I'm a lot better at multitasking. So, getting back on track. Empire of Sin. She's actually the only supporter of Empire of Sin. I was planning on redirecting some towards that for her. She'd also supported Wing Commander Privateer, Ride to Hell Retribution, Wing Commander 1, Wing Commander 3, Wing Commander 2, sensing a trend here, Batman Arkham Origins, Crusader Kings 3, Final Fantasy IV After Years, I think that one was kind of a joke, and weirdly enough, Bloodborne, as well as Starmancer, a game that still isn't out, I don't think. I haven't heard anything about Starmancer in forever. Is this, like, still a thing? Are we in alpha yet? No, it's still just whenever it comes out. Anyways, any others? Nope, that's it. So that's the list. But like I said, the big one's Empire of Sin. If you check out the website, you'll notice that there's a number that says how much money and how many people, and it's one person who's donated $127. The overwhelming majority of her donations for the past several months have been going towards Empire of Sin. So, and probably not Luke Martin. Sure, Hazardous. Why not? Tree. Give me a second. Write that down. Well, as I feel like I just said, I do not expect any money towards me right now. As I said, I'm only producing about half of my job at the moment. There's one from Monobrand. And then you can tell I'm tired because I'm actually having trouble typing fast enough to keep up. You should have seen me last night. Actually, I'm glad nobody saw me last night because I was having trouble sitting upright. You ever been that tired? I'm sure several of you have. Where you just can't, the act of what I'm doing right now takes so much energy that I couldn't do it. Yeah. Mr. Red apparently has not been paying attention. as usual. Um. Ah. Excuse me. I was gonna say I've had the exhaustion thing on the John as well, Dakota. Not yesterday, thankfully. I think I own Empire of Sin already. I think I snapped that up when it went on sale. I guess I should double check. Because yeah, for those of you not aware, let's Paradox Con. I guess is still happening. Has just finished. They announced Victoria 3. We don't know anything about it. Crusader Kings 3 is getting a DLC, and Empire of Sin's getting a DLC, and Prison Architect's getting a DLC, and a bunch of their stuff is on sale right now. Double checking here. Do I own Empire of Sin? I do. There you go. Thought so. But yeah, it's half off right now. $20. And VTMB2 is just over there in dev hell and will probably remain so for a while. I'm sorry, I know I'm not. I know I'm not my particularly charismatic self right now. I apologize. Where's the tree thing? There it is. I'm gonna go and be legit for just a second here. Just 1 second. 'Cause I've been totally lying this whole day. I'm trying to think how to phrase this without sounding really horrible. This is just me, and I'm probably crazy. I never stop missing people. You know what I mean? My aunt passed away, God, 10 years ago now, something like that. Died in the hospital. Still miss her. You got it, Luke Martin. Thank you. Um, most of my grandparents have died. I've got 2 left at this point. When I was really young, a good friend of mine died too. Actually, I got a worse one than that. When I was right out of high school, excuse me, fresh out of high school, a friend of mine got hit by a bolt of lightning. No joke. Hell of a way to go. Never actually stopped missing him either. His name was Graham. He was a good kid. Smart, way smarter than me. More talented, more creative. Had way more of a future ahead of him. He was going into filmmaking. And hit by a frickin' bolt of lightning. I am never going to stop missing Platy. The paradox there is that you can't let it overwhelm you, right? You can't let it become primary. And the reason I say that's a paradox is some people, I've noticed this, I've studied people my whole life. Some people try to focus on it too much, get stuck in a emotional grief cycle that they never actually spill out of. Some people try to avoid it completely. They just pushed away. Like, yeah, death happens. You know what I mean? I think the middle. I think the middle works better because because I'm me, I guess. Because it's always about the moderation, right? Because we have to move on. Otherwise, we might as well all just shoot ourselves right now. But if we forget them entirely, then we might as well just shoot ourselves right now, right? No, I'm serious. I'm serious. It's you. If we're going to completely not care about the dead, then why bother? But if all we're going to care about is the dead, then why bother? So, I do not have a pineapple Fanta. I have a lemon lime. Why are there 700? This is a lemon lime Gatorade zero sugar thirst quencher. What? When did this? I can only sip right now. No, it's okay. I've been sipping this. You can tell how much I've drunk. You can literally see that's from 3 a.m. That's how much I have drunk from that today. And like I said, I don't have a donut. This is also, I don't know if you can tell, this is also since about 3 a.m. Were she still here, she would not want us to bemoan. Although, oh, I don't know the flavor. What flavor? You know, doesn't even say. Red. You might not be aware of this random moment of positivity. My wonderful and beloved sister, who I was going to go help clean and take care of her home yesterday, and I informed her, it just wasn't happening. She, I forget what it's called. She pulled a delivery from the local grocery store with some broth. Actually, haven't opened that yet, but she sent me some broth, some Jello, Gatorade, and some I forget what the medicine is to help settle the stomach. And the delivery woman comes by, leaves it outside. Obviously, I'm in a super. Those of you not aware, assuming this is a stomach bug, which I am absolutely assuming, it is incredibly contagious. So, this is a total no contact thing. Woman brings it by and says, "Hi, I've got your stuff here, and I'm supposed to tell you that you need to start sipping the broth right away." She said that the package notes. And then sis texted me, "It should be there." Yeah, it's here. Now, actually, so I say that sipping broth, and then earlier, if you're paying attention, I said I haven't even opened this yet. So there's another box of broth that is open. It's in my fridge right now. I did sip it. But if you've been paying attention to the timeline here, it wasn't until 3 a.m. this morning I was able to keep stuff down. So that broth came right back out. Let me tell you, broth. Oh, that tastes wonderful on the way out. I'll tell you one thing I knew about Platy. She had severe self-esteem issues. Mm. And she was wrong to. Because we all gave a damn. I literally have proof positive of that. I can prove that practically and functionally. And I informed her of that fact repeatedly. In fact, one of the things I've said to her more than once is it doesn't matter if you believe it. All that matters is that it's true. So, she was a good person. And she will not be forgotten anytime soon. No, I stand by my statement, Mike Kamano. You may not believe that gravity exists, but you're going to fall one way or the other. Bad analogy. Oh, hi, Stace. Ah, if Stace is ferret kitty mom underscore Stace in chat. If anybody wishes to reach out to her, she's family physically was there. She was the second person who informed me of what was happening, and yeah. 3, 5, 6, 13. That's what I thought. Okay. You ever hear the cliche? The dead wouldn't want us to mourn. I don't know if I agree with that cliche. As I said earlier, I think it's more of a balanced thing, right? Because all you have to do to think about what the dead would want is think about what they would want while they're alive. Do you know the person well enough to judge their character? So obviously, she would, and let's just be 100% about this. She would want people to care about her passing. She wouldn't want to be a bother, of course, but nobody wants to be just forgotten when they're, well, I shouldn't say that. Most people don't want to just be forgotten, right? But she also wouldn't want us to just slip into that grief cycle I mentioned earlier, which means bothering is what it means. So. Oh yeah, one last thing, and then I'm kind of out of things to say, to be honest. I have said for decades that family is chosen. You can quote me on that. If I ever needed proof positive, I could just point to her. I mean, it's true, Zed. I'm sorry. Family's chosen. I've simply seen too much evidence of that my entire life. Some of us are lucky. Some of us actually have biological family that is also our family, but they're two separate categories that do not necessarily include one another. Now, under normal circumstances, what I had actually planned to do was I had planned to do something here, like a positivity kind of a thing. Pull up a game, stream it for a little bit, just in a Moram kind of a thing. I don't have the energy, to be completely blunt. It is taking an enormous amount of my concentration to sit upright at the moment and try to stay coherent with my vocalization. Please forgive me. So instead of that, I will do one thing. I will go ahead and do the streaminations today. I wasn't going to, but that'll be my in honor of her kind of a moment. Um, so I am going to chop off the local recording.